Hey, welcome back to the channel, the Ghost Monster channel. Um, in this episode, I'll be covering the top 10 comics of June this past month that are worth checking out if they're still available in any local stores. I'll go from the bottom up, saving the best for last. I'll talk about each one briefly. So at 10, I've got Absolute Martian Manhunter number 4, which came out the week of the 25th. It was pretty good. The White Martian, Green Martian conflict is beginning to escalate. It's kind of hard to know exactly what's going on in that series at any given point because the main character doesn't seem to know exactly what's going on. So it can feel as though it's got a little bit of lack of direction at times, but it's written very well and it's so unique and it's so visually stimulating that I couldn't not put it in the top 10, though it is at number 10. At 9 is Absolute Wonder Woman number 9. Absolute Wonder Woman at 9 was quite amazing. I've been loving Absolute Wonder Woman, and even though 9 was maybe the lowest lull in the series so far, it's still in the top 10. I had 8 or so comics above it. Well, I had 8 comics where I went through and I was like, okay, I enjoyed this. I definitely want this to be in the top 10. And then I had 2 open spots, and Absolute Wonder Woman easily slid right in. Um, the arc that we're currently in is a little bit more mysterious than the previous arc, and I'm engaged with where it's headed. I like this comic quite a bit. If you didn't see my first half of the year rankings, Absolute Wonder Woman was at the very top. Spoiler alert, because I love this comic. Even though I had issue number 9 at 9th of June. That also came out the week of the 25th. At 8th place for June, I put Batman and Robin issue number 22. Batman and Robin, it's been very impressive to me so far. My only qualm with it at any given time is that there's just a lot to balance that's going on, but Phil Kennedy Johnson does so well. Um, I I like the characters. I like the characters that are new. I appreciate the characterization of those which we're familiar with, especially Damian Wayne. This is a quintessential Damian Wayne read. If you're a Damian Wayne fan, if you want to be a Damian Wayne fan, read this series. It's really good. Batman and Robin issue 22 was really good. And that came out the week of the 11th of June. Uh, Seventh place, I've got the new history of the DC universe. Mark Wade. Mark Wade is like the DC universe architect these days. It would seem. I'm not sure how official that idea is, but between doing Batman Robin Year One, between doing uh, World's Finest, which usually takes place in the past, Justice League Unlimited, and now New History of the DC Universe, it seems to be the status quo that Mark Wade determines the status quo. Um, half jokingly, I mean that, because he truly, clearly has a great level of influence on the creative conception of the DC universe on a consistent basis. So yeah, it's the first issue of 4. It covers from archaically, like pre-Earth level ancient history of the DC universe all the way up until around the same time that Superman appears in the canon of the DC universe. So there's a lot of cosmic and supernatural and magic entities that get covered, and a few earlier supergroups also get covered in this, and it references a lot that I was familiar with and a lot that I was not familiar with. But that didn't really detract. I was engaged. I was invested. It was a good read. It was a bit dense, but they're trying to fit nearly 100 years of comic history into 4 issues. So he seems like he's taking on the task quite well, Mark Waid. I'm excited for the next 3 issues to come out, and that released also this past week of the 25th of June. Um, Above that in the ranking, I've got at 6th, Absolute Flash number 4. Absolute Flash by Jeff Lemire. I've been loving. I'm a big fan of the Flash. I'm a huge fan of Wally West, more so than Barry Allen. I don't know if that's a hot take or not anymore. But I am a Wally West fan, and I really enjoy that the Absolute Universe, unlike the Marvel Ultimate Universe saves for Ultimate Spider-Man, is not only introducing versions of the characters that we're familiar with, but spicing it up and making it kind of make sense how they play into the roles of the Absolute Universe. Um, the Dibneys, if you're familiar, make an appearance in this issue. That's not a spoiler. Worth noting that he meets some other people along the way that are from the main universe that Flash fans would be familiar with, but in their Absolute Universe iterations. The Rogues have been around for a handful of issues. There's only a handful of issues out. They've basically been around since the beginning. Grodd is not a gorilla, but a tiny little monkey with his brain out. A little freaky for me visually, but additionally, Eobard Thawne got gender swapped and is Eleanor Thawne. So it's just, I don't know. I'm very interested. I get very interested by tweaked it. It's kind of the same, but it's actually entirely so completely different that you got to read it to really appreciate it fully. So yeah, Absolute Flash has been good. It's super mysterious. I kind of wish I knew what was going on a little bit more, but I don't mind being in the dark about it, and I'm looking forward to it going forward. I mean, obviously, all of these, that's how I feel, or they wouldn't be in the top 10, and I would probably stop reading them. Yeah, at number 5, yeah, at number 5, Batman Dark Patterns number 7. It's the start of the 3rd case in the series of Dark Patterns that take place during Batman's like 2nd, 3rd-ish year as Batman. Bruce Wayne's 2nd or 3rd-ish year as Batman, maybe I should say. And it's very noir, very gritty. The art really, really brings the whole story to life so cohesively. And it's been a fantastic read. I enjoyed both the first 2 cases because this is a 12-issue series that's being told as 4 individual cases that take place across 3-issue arcs. This is written by Dan Watters. I know I haven't really talked about I haven't really talked about authors that much. I'm trying to get better at being familiar with artists and writers' names. Growing into it, I would say. Though I'll admit that I primarily will probably be mentioning those of whom stick in my mind, like very distinctly. Because that usually is a telltale sign that I am really, really enjoying that writer's work on a regular basis. Like Jeff Lemire, for example, he also does Minor Arcana, which I binge read the first 8 issues of the other day, and I've been enjoying that a lot. So, yeah, Batman Dark Patterns, Dan Watters has been really, really excellent on writing Batman, and I'm invested in seeing where this goes, how it plays out, if the whole set of cases ends up cohesively pulled together by the end, or if it's just going to be its own standalone thing. Regardless, I honestly view this as essential Batman reading. It's got to be one of the best, if not the best written Batman story I've read in comics since The Long Halloween. I wish I wasn't joking. I've read a lot of comics and of Batman that I really love. I loved the Tom King run. To be honest, I enjoyed White Knight thoroughly. If we want to talk about things that have come out in the last decade or so, but Batman Dark Patterns is blowing me out of the water. Yeah, Batman Dark Patterns number 7. Um, Fourth on this list of June, I've got Superman number 27. Superman 27 is part of an epic series of Superman that's been coming out so far. Just keeps building and building and building. This one actually had a little post-credits type scene that tied into the post-credits type scene that happened in Justice League Unlimited this week. And that, in and of itself, was super exciting to read. But just in general, I would say that Superman has been spot on. The characterization and the introduction of new characters along the way and the ways that relationships are written all feels so accurate to what a portrayal of Superman should be. Lex Luthor as well. But at the same time, it provokes the status quo. You get things like Lex Luthor loses his memory for a little while. Will he not gain it back? And is that then forgivable from Superman's perspective? These are the types of themes that are played upon, and it's very thought provoking as far as like the extent to which we are willing to forgive, especially when it relates to ignorance or arrogance. Yeah, Superman number 27, quite good. I've been enjoying it a lot, and honestly, the only reason it's as low as it is because there's so many moving parts that it can be a bit hard to keep up with at times. Above that is Detective Comics 1098. I'm a pretty big Tom Taylor fan. I like the way that he writes so romantically when he does in comics, just in general. He just seems to really understand the sentimental values of the characters that he's writing. And that applies to Batman too. And so I've been enjoying his little run with Batman through Detective Comics and the mystery he's been trying to solve, and I've been enjoying the way that Tom Taylor has presented him going about it, and I felt the last issue before this one was intriguing, but I wasn't sure about it, and 1098 raised the stakes and hit a climactic point in the arc so far, and it's got me hooked. I'm reeled in for it, and I'm hoping it goes somewhere unique, somewhere like groundbreaking as far as Batman series go. And I wouldn't be surprised if it does with issue 1100 coming up in the very near future. I hope that DC editorial doesn't allow the story that's been going on to get overshadowed by Batman marketing more generally, because I can foresee that being a possibility. Yeah, brings me down to the top 2. At number 2, I've got Resurrection Man, Quantum Mania. Resurrection Man is a beautiful book written by Ram V. It's very heartfelt in its writing. I've got the first issue. That's what I was trying to do. I got the first issue after I read it digitally because it was just so engaging as far as presentation of like the construction, the cosmology of reality from Ram V's understanding of the DC universe, it would seem, and the storytelling is reminds me of literature, particularly like European literature, more so than any other DC comic, I would say right now. It's got an intriguing narrative that pulled me in, and it's another one of those comics that's unlike anything else coming out right now. The third issue explores more deeply the origins of the character Resurrection Man, than had been introduced thus far. Um, and the art is perfectly paired with Ram V's writing. I wish I remembered artists better. I'm gonna get better at that. Shout out all the artists. I don't remember it because I can't even think like that, and I could. Amazing art is amazing. And I suppose I should show that appreciation more by getting to know artists' names. So I shall. But at the moment, here I am talking about the writing of Resurrection Man issue 3, which was quite a twist. It had quite a twist that has already been incorporated into the larger DC universe. I'm not sure if it was already canon, this understanding of Resurrection Man and his powers origins, but for me, as somebody who had been unfamiliar, it was quite provocative, and it's got me invested in the series still. I wouldn't say I was losing it with the second issue, but I've been very unsure of what the plot exactly is, other than just overwhelmingly large scale universal conceptualization. But as a religious studies minor, I really appreciate its attempts at illustrating time and the universe and the depths of conversations that it can create. Yeah, Resurrection Man. It's worth the read. It's technically DC's Black Label. It's quite a mature read as far as like themes go. And it's a bit complex, but it's not dense to read. It makes sense to read, I would say. And yeah, that brings me to number 1 of June. My number 1 top issue that I read in June was Green Lantern number 24, which is the kicking off point. Maybe not, maybe it's a prelude, but it's rolling right into the new crossover event with the Green Lantern Corps, that being the Starbreaker Supremacy. And I really have been loving Green Lantern. It's been such an epic series for months upon months. Honestly, for 2 years now. And there's going to be a oversized issue 25, because 25 is a cooler number than 24, even though 24 is an anniversary issue usually. But yeah, Green Lantern usually has a little too much going on, but this one felt a bit easier to follow compared to previous issues. A lot of characters get their time. A lot of characters get to shine. I'm not personally a huge Hal Jordan fan, so sometimes I feel a little bit over like the Hal Jordan content's like overworking or out. I don't know, like drowning out the other characters almost. But that's not happening so much lately, and at the same time, it's got so much going on with the Lantern like emotional spectrum, with this idea that maybe if willpower starts to crack, and what might appear as fractured possible emotions outside of the established Green Lantern spectral availability that's been previously canonicized. So that's quite intriguing and quite exciting, and I've got no idea where it's going. It's written by Jeremy Adams, and it's been epic. There's really no other word for it in my opinion. It is epic. It is an epic. It is a masterpiece of sci-fi writing, in my opinion, and it is the best thing that DC has had to offer since Rebirth, I might suggest, as a series to jump into. And that's probably a hot take, because I know that there have been a lot of good series, but nothing has impressed me as like one cohesive read it for 24 straight issues and you feel like you're in a different universe. You feel like you're, or I felt like I reading this through 24 issues have been transported into a larger scale cosmic environment than DC regularly explores, and usually saves for like big event type situations. That type of area is being explored very thoroughly and with a lot of different character work happening simultaneously, which creates a lot of like engaging and funny interactions. Yeah, those are my top 10 of June. Just to recap, from 10 to 1 again is Absolute Martian Manhunter at 10, Absolute Wonder Woman at 9, Batman and Robin at 8, New History of the DC Universe at 7, Absolute Flash at 6, Batman Dark Patterns at 5, Superman at 4, Detective Comics at 3, Resurrection Man at 2, and Green Lantern at 1. Yeah. This has been the Ghost Monster channel yet again. And just keep emoting peace signs. But yeah, peace. I'll see you soon. Hopefully you return to the Ghost Monster channel. Peace.